Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to our breakdown of Evil Dead Rise, the first, maybe only, trailer. Yeah, no secret if you've seen our shorts. If you haven't, I'll just say it right now. I've been very excited for this, really looking forward to it. This is a franchise that I love to death. It's very close, near and dear to my heart. I gotta say, it's in my top three. And that kind of, other than Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Evil Dead, they tend to switch for me every once in a while. But yeah, I adore this series. Every entry is mint, in my opinion. And yeah, I think this is looking pretty interesting. Luke, how are you feeling about Evil Dead as a whole?
As a whole, I think it's a great franchise. I think it's one of the few franchises, probably overall and definitely in horror that, has quality films throughout. And I mean, spanning from the original up until today, it's like, these are still going on. Obviously, we haven't seen Evil Dead Rise just yet, but judging from the trailer, it seems like the quality's there. So, overall, this is something where I always talk about. I went into Scream feeling positive all the time. I think Evil Dead is also one of those franchises where it's not met with a lot of hesitation in my eyes. It's like just because of its track record, I always feel like I'm leaning toward the next installment's going to be good rather than oh gosh, they're really you know pumping another one of these out. Plus, with the time that they do these in, where this isn't like Saw, where it's like we're getting one every year. Evil Dead, it seems like they really do take their time and try to find some story to wrap around the Necronomicon and in the Deadites. So overall, I mean, these are quality films, especially with the tone of like Evil Dead 1 and 2, and then Army of Darkness. Very specific tone. And then as we get into, the 2013 one, a little bit of a different tone, I think, overall. And I think that one's falling in line. This one here is falling in line with 2013.
I agree. Just general impressions before we dive into the trailer. I would agree with you wholeheartedly that they're falling in line with 2013. It's kind of interesting. I talked to you a little bit about maybe doing a little bit of an essay or a deeper dive on the franchise itself, because I feel like for a lot of people, uh, it kind of might confuse them a little bit because they came out a few years ago, or like a year ago or so. Fede Alvarez said that his film is more of a sequel and less of a remake. And a lot of people were confused by that. And it's one of those things where I think that Evil Dead is in a rare spot that a lot of franchises in horror, when you talk about the big wigs like Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween and Friday the 13th, they have a problem where it seems like everybody wants to either, we got two options: we can remake, or we can fit ourselves into the timeline somewhere, and we have to pay homage to that continuity. Evil Dead doesn't really do that, and they really set the groundwork with that in the second film, and showing that we kind of redid the opening, or at least the first few, like the first 30 minutes of Evil Dead 2 are kind of a rehash of the first film. And in the ending of that film, I guess spoilers for a movie that's been out for decades now, they kind of show that this opens some kind of a time loop and some kind of a portal. And that's really where I think that a lot of these most recent sequels, when we're talking Rise and 13, where they fall into, and why we can get away with something like this and still call it continuity, because this can be taking place adjacent to those first films. This could be taking place adjacent to the show. And at one point, with a couple of winks and nods, if they wanted to later on down the road, it would be really easy to connect characters together. If they wanted to throw Old Man Ash and Mia and, whoever these characters are into, just one big mixing bowl, if they wanted to do that, they could. And I think that it's very unique. But I'm also going to have a lot of fun here, I think, just kind of going on these random adventures and just seeing where we put the Necronomicon and what are we getting into now.
I'm seeing, and that's why I think the beauty of the Evil Dead franchise in general is, it's never gotten too granular where it paints itself in a corner and decides, okay, now we have so many rules we have to abide by. I mean, you look at Halloween, you look at Friday the 13th. Sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot with everything, but kind of Evil Dead kind of just opening the door and saying, with a time warp and everything, it's like, hey, anything goes in this franchise, and then in like this one here where it looks like there's some connective tissue, but it's not like one of those, an Ash story or anything like that, where we're really doing our own thing and we're dropping a Necrocomicon somewhere else and seeing how other characters deal with the situation. So it's kind of like, I think I look at Evil Dead where it's so unique in that it's been treated very well with the creators of saying, we're not going to tie it to too much. We want to kind of keep it a little more abstract. We want people to come in with different ideas, and I've always looked at Evil Dead as almost like the Rebel franchise, where you easily look at Halloween, where that one has kind of come in and been tinkered between directors that didn't really care that much about everything. Whereas Evil Dead, it seems like they've always chosen a quality filmmaker that cares about the franchise in general. So it's like they always do justice to the story and the idea. And overall, I think that's why Evil Dead has thrived in the horror community as opposed to some of these other horror franchises.
I agree. But why not take a dive in? Let's see what we got here. We've already seen the trailer, obviously, but we're going to give it a little bit of a breakdown, kind of go through here. Because we've kind of got this. We got the Redband trailer is the one we're going to mainly focus on. And then we have the Greenband trailer. So, we'll kind of do a general watch through and then maybe a little bit of breakdown on the red. And then we're just going to kind of do a quick little pause and play on the Greenband just for time's sake. So let's pop into it. And I'm going to get our little people off the screen here. So that way we're not blocking anything. Alrighty. Very effective opening, I would say. When I saw this for the first time, I was like, this is not going to end well. And that just from fire and metal and all kinds of bullshit being mixed in here.
And I just love her cracking these eggs and just smashing everything. I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you could see a lot of those shots that we got from the footage or the stills is reincorporated in here. I love that because they're not giving away too much that's different. So that way we're not seeing, anything too crazy, and we can kind of just say, okay, they're not giving the whole movie away here. I love that.
Yeah. And I mentioned it in my short where it's like the family dynamic here is very different than what we usually see in these Evil Dead films. And it's like going into the cracking the eggs, it's almost like a demented tale of, being a mom and then, becoming possessed, So I thought it was an interesting take, especially how these kids are dealing with this.
Yes. Obviously we get a shot of the Necronomicon there. This audio cue fucking gave me chills. I love it, dude. Yeah. I'm so excited for it.
It adds so much to the tone of the trailer.
I know. And this is a little bit of a repeat from the teaser. The teaser.
I love this right here.
Nothing a big old kiss from you won't fix.
Yeah, the teaser fucked so well. Me up. Yeah, the teaser honestly fucked me up a little bit yesterday with that, where what they were doing. I know a lot of people have been talking about that, the tattoo. This right here, oh my god.
Oh,
how
yeah.
creative.
And that's what they're really doing is kind of keeping things fresh here. It's like, again, having a great handle on the franchise itself and trying to add something different.
Mm-hmm.
Chainsaw, gotta have it.
Of course, gotta have it. One way or another, you get a chainsaw in there. I don't care where you set your Evil Dead film. You have to. There we go. A little Shining reference there.
That's what, as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah.
This looks great.
Mom? Mommy's with the maggots now.
I love it.
I know. The voice is good, too. I like it a lot. It's a little different than what we're used to. They do a little bit more of the high pitchy stuff with the older ones, but no, that's all good stuff right there. And we gotta highlight, we gotta say this was initially again supposed to go to HBO Max, and now it's coming to theaters. So it's one of those things where it's like they saw the quality of it and they were like, let's just fucking go with it and throw it out. Let's see if it can make some money. And that's
You know,
very encouraging.
and this has to be a communal experience. Like these legacy horror stuff. Like I talk about Halloween, listen to the theme in the theater. It's great to be able to stream that at home as well. But like going to the theater to see these legacy horror things, Evil Dead has to be a communal experience. Like if this was straight HBO Max and we missed out on a chance to just see this with a bunch of Evil Dead fans, because again, like I talk about this kind of being the Rebel franchise. I feel like this is still a franchise that is made for the horror community. You know, I think it's still maintained those roots where I think maybe Halloween became, you know, with the retelling in 2018 and kind of reestablishing a lot of things. It was like almost, oh, we want to get that general audience. Where this one, yeah, a general audience can come into this, but this is still very much that Rebel franchise for the horror community.
I agree. It's definitely the fan base for it, and I think a lot of people are going to show up for this. I think they're real. It's
Oh,
the
absolutely.
buzz is nice, and this trailer is only doing wonders. So let's break this up real quick. Let's take a look at some close up shots. So obviously we discussed at the top of this with the fire and
burner.
everything. You know, the burner. Yeah, this is nice and creepy. I like how it builds. So from the story here, from what we've got, these two are sisters. So the one who's obviously cracking the eggs, who's infected, and the woman who's infected clearly is the mom of the children. And you know, I kind of like that dynamic. It is fresh. You mentioned that in your short, how that is a unique take on the family kind of unit there. And you know, I think that we do have an interesting cast here that I think we're going to kind of, as we do with a lot of these movies, really build into, because like you care about Ash Williams, you care about his friends a lot in the first film, but what I think 2013 does really well is it makes you care about that unit of friends. And you know, we're going to dive deeper into that as we go along, but I think that you're going to have a lot of opportunities here of just saying, you know, I care about the kids, I care about the sisters, and it's going to be heartbreaking to watch them get ripped apart.
You know, and one of the things I'm most excited about this is, you know, as we step away from the usual and the norm of the Evil Dead franchise, we're going to see the idea of the Deadites from a child's perspective. Like, I'm curious
Mhm.
to see how they're going to observe everything here. I think it's going to make it that much more terrifying to see this through the lens of a child and them dealing with the Deadite like this. And I mean, obviously, as we have where mommies with the maggots now. I mean, obviously great line, and for that to be delivered to a child, I think it just adds to that unique dynamic that we're going to be getting from Evil Dead Rise.
I agree. And then so we'll kind of watch it through here. I like the, you know, we are going to get a cabin of some sort. You know, a
What a
lot of
shot.
people, I know, right? It's pretty. It's nice. Um it's one of those things where it's like a lot of people wonder if this was, you know, where the original cabin was. Maybe it got torn down and rebuilt like this. Maybe they're, you know, with it, you know, we don't know where this falls. You know, I said that it's kind of a time loop connected timeline in a way. Maybe this is leaning more towards them just saying, you know, oh, this is their take on the original cabin. I don't know. But nonetheless, we will get the cabin. Obviously, the De Palma shot everybody's been talking about. We got that still.
Regardless of if that's a cabin or not, it's almost like different. It's such a different visual, like almost mythical, and then to bring
Mhm,
it into like an LA high rise like this, I think is very interesting.
absolutely. A little creepiness with the daughter there doing some weird shit. Now,
Yeah, this.
we don't recognize these people. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe this is a different family that we're going to see early on that get affected by the Necronomicon. And then, because she doesn't look like, none of those look like the family. And I mean, she scalps that woman. So she's not surviving wherever she's at, clearly.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's almost probably going to be a different instance, whether we do
Mhm.
flashbacks or we start with that in some instance. You know, I think obviously we see the scalp uh on the dock there as well, and we're by the like where we had talked about getting those stills of how does that all fit in. So we're kind of seeing that connective tissue there as well. So I don't know if that's going to be like flashbacks and we're going to connect it later on in the film, or we're going to be, you know, given that within the first, you know, half hour of the film. I'm intrigued. I like the idea of, like I said, it's mythical, it's different. It's out of the norm from what we usually
It
get.
is. And so is our Necronomicon itself.
Yes.
I noticed a couple things. You know, it doesn't have the classic face. The imagery still remains pretty similar. Obviously, we've never seen through the entire book. This is interesting. It could be a misdirect where it sounds like the voice is coming from the record here. It does have that same kind of paper to the center there, but it, like we said, we just don't know really where that voice is coming from as of yet. Love this. Clearly, I believe that's the sister. I
That's
don't.
one. That's the one I couldn't tell. I was struggling to figure out exactly who that was.
She looks really small, but it's definitely not the little girl. So
Yeah,
I
no.
don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I had to freeze this because I was curious. It looked like she got something up with her face, maybe got bit, or it looks
Yeah.
like it could just be a blood smear. So yeah, there we go. And that was something I wanted to touch on. Very briefly to show that we are setting ourselves apart here with the Necronomicon. These little serrated teeth. I think we get a better shot of them here on the edge. We've never seen that before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen the Necronomicon look like that.
I don't think so. Now, could this be a different book?
It could be. Now they've established in the series there are multiple books. There's supposed to be 3 from what I get, but I mean, we don't know. It's the Book of the Dead. They're evil. So it's like this could very much be a different book, different setting, all in all. Of course, we got this wonderful shot here.
Always with the eyes.
Yes. I wonder if she's going to go through with it. It could just be a tease. She might not actually make that kill, but I know a lot of people are going to be gunning for it because that is disturbing as hell. This, of course, we said it. I fucking love that. The cheese grater is so creative. Like, it's one of those household tools. Every time I pick it up, makes my skin crawl when I have to touch it, and those little serrades touch me. But yeah, it's fuck you up.
And that's where it's like, to do an Evil Dead film and now in 2023 and trying to find something unique and terrifying, it's Lee Cronin easily has found something here where it just feels in line with Evil Dead, but also out of line in terms of uniqueness and adding something to an installment. Because even in this trailer, I find a lot of it very terrifying.
I agree. And then so we're moving in here. There it is, the teeth again. I won't go back to it. We already established it's the glass, man. Good God.
That was vicious. And I love the close-up shot here. Like, this is perfect.
It is. It's something, someone brought up, I think it was 3C, brought up a good point that this was initially going to streaming, like we said. So, on streaming, you don't necessarily have to adhere too much to a ratings board, really, from what I understand. You can kind of push that envelope a little bit because it's in your own home, so you're making that choice. It's not like they're putting it into a public theater. So I'm wondering if they're getting away with a lot more here because it was initially set up for streaming.
Yeah.
So it's like they're able to kind of circumvent that a little bit. But yeah, it's looking rough. They're showing all the good shots. I mean, buckets of blood. Oh yeah, and like you said, the chainsaw, absolutely necessary when it comes to an Evil Dead franchise film. There's that shot. We see them in there. Someone catching on fire. The shining shot. It's clear as day. It even looks like it's taking place in an elevator there. So, and they said they used an exuberant amount of blood on this, which I believe it.
I mean, you have to in an Evil Dead film. If not, get it out of here.
100%. And I like this too. It's a nice closing shot. Just all the makeup, everything looks very solid. I'm wondering how much of the makeup could be CG enhanced too, just because it's like, damn, they really did a good job here.
Yeah. I'm like, this gets me excited to see the actual full film. You know what I mean?
I know.
This tidbit here, and what's in store for us. Oh my gosh, this has already taken us on a fun ride. I can't wait to sit there for. Have they released the runtime?
I don't believe so. I haven't looked, but we'll see. Now, this is the Greenband trailer. We're not going to watch it in its entirety. I guess I should turn that down. But I figure we'll run through it a little bit. I'll kind of do pausing as we go. But we even open with a completely different shot here. So
now the context for Evil Dead Rise, I know we were talking about it. It's because it takes place in a high rise, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People were struggling with that.
What do you think they were saying, huh?
Like I saw a few people saying like, "Oh, what's the context of Rise?" I guess we'll find out during the film. It's like I thought it was already
I thought
spelled out.
it was just that it was in a high-rise building. Yeah, very different opening here. I like the fly on the eye. And then, of course, see, they're using the music in a different light too. So
Yeah,
that's one of those things where I'm just saying, it's like that. It's a misdirect. It could be, we get the book again.
I
We get a
love that
little.
they're doing a different setting so much.
Lots of different footage in this one, at least
Yeah, a
leading
lot
up
of
to it.
interesting shots.
And this, of course, will be the one we probably see in theaters. Sometimes they do
Yeah.
play Redband trailers in theaters. But if you're seeing a PG-13 movie, so like if we see Megan when we see it this weekend, if they do play this before, we're probably going to see this trailer.
Yeah. Oh, this is
Very nice.
Don't let it take my babies.
Oh, this is lovely.
There's those teeth again. Like I'm saying, it's a different book. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's too different.
It happened too fast.
Very different style of Deadeye coming.
This evil creates terror through total chaos.
This is really good stuff.
This is like a completely different trailer.
Yeah. Oh, this is great.
All you can do is run.
It's definitely different people too. You can tell.
I'm getting this out of here.
You'd be a good mom someday, honey bath.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you know how to lie to kids.
I know the commentary on us is kind of slowed, but it's just because there is so much
Yeah,
different.
we haven't seen this one at all.
Yeah, but that's cool, man. I like it. This is again why I'm saying, we only have to wait till April, so I don't necessarily need another trailer. I think this is fine.
Especially with this variation here. I mean, we're getting way more than enough. And even though that it's only a little bit of extra footage, it's very complimentary to what we had gotten originally.
Meaning. Mining. You.
Oh, this is great. They are like even so more so in this one, they're really making use of, she's the mom and in the mom and kids dynamic here. And that's just it's terrifying in itself whenever you have that kind of idea of the mom going evil and the kids not even fully understanding what's going on. It's just like, what a great premise to bring to the Evil Dead franchise. It makes me even more excited just seeing that a little bit of extra footage, because you can tell they really took their time with this and wanted to make a compelling story.
I agree. Yeah, I think this looks great. I don't want to keep this too long, but yeah, we had a lot of footage to go through. It's easily my most anticipated movie of the year for sure. We don't have to wait that long for it, which is great. We only have to wait till April, so I'm here for it, man. And again, I think with the two trailers here being so different, we don't need any more footage. Let's stay away from that. Maybe a couple teases, some TV spots, but that's it. I probably will stay away from those.
Yeah.
Just because of the excitement level. I'm sold. I'm excited to see what they're doing with this franchise, where we're going. And Evil Dead, like we said a while ago, I'll rehash it here in my little closing thoughts. It is a franchise of quality. There isn't a bad one in the bunch, in my opinion. And I just hope that this continues. And so far, it looks like it really is.
Yeah. And I mean, I second everything you just said. This is, we just came off our favorite films of 2022 in what a stellar year that was for horror. Who knows what 2023 holds, but coming off of that in beginning of January here, we already get this Evil Dead Rise trailer, which we've been anticipating for weeks, and certainly anticipating today as everyone kept refreshing their phones, seeing if they were going to be dropping this just yet. And I mean, this didn't disappoint. By the trailer, this film looks very quality. I am so excited to be going to the theater to actually see this. And as we talk about difference in tone a little bit from those original three, I like it, where it's like those three can be their own thing, as well as this one can kind of take a different premise a little bit, maybe a little darker, and succeed as well, and it all feels organic. It all feels like it should be together. It's a perfect marriage. I'm excited, man. Like Evil Dead Rise, I was already excited as soon as they announced this film. I got more excited when they said it was going to be in theater, and now words cannot express after seeing this trailer of how excited I am to actually go see this film.
I agree. But alrighty, guys, it's going to wrap us up for our Evil Dead Rise trailer discussion, review, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. We talked about it. We went through it with you. Let us know what you guys think of this flick. Obviously, we're big fans. We're excited, and we will definitely be getting you guys a day one review earlier if we can. You know, we'll see what happens, but I am definitely excited for this flick. And of course, you guys can hit subscribe, follow us on all social media at SplattercastPod. We got a lot of great content coming to you. Like we said, we are going to be reviewing Megan at the end of the week here, so keep your eyes out for that. And we got a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline on the channel otherwise. So keep your eyes and ears open because we are always around. So until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.